So normally in the speedrun, Tai Yong Medical is actually separated out into two splits, but because it's just one mission, I'm going to include the entirety of it in this video. So this video is going to be all of Tai Yong Medical. Just run up here until we reach this key code. This one is 6631, and come through. We can't skip the conversation with this guy at all, and it's actually a couple of dialogue lines faster to decline his mission. So just do that and then run past to this key code, and this one is 4865. Now, while we're interacting with this, you want to unholster your gun. You'll see that there's actually a bit of a delay from interacting with the door to being able to go through it. So just interact and then draw your gun. Then turn the valve and walk through here. And now we want to get past this guy. If we just use the door normally, we have a conversation with him and we have to bribe him and then we can move on. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to make him angry and then we're going to run through without the conversation. So that's why we drew our gun. I'm going to shoot here. It doesn't matter where, just shoot anywhere. And then interact with the door and run through. And from this point, you kind of just need to watch where I'm going. There's not going to be much time for me to explain everything because I have to go quickly. So I'm just going to do this and then watch where I run. If you're fast enough, you can get through here without him shooting you like I did there. And that just means the guards in this room aren't going to be already hostile, which they will be if he does shoot. If they are hostile, that's technically fine, but it can make things a little more awkward. And I want to explain something here. There are these lasers on this side of the bridge and the other side. If we run into them, a guard at the end is going to be hostile, and that's the fastest method, but you need to be careful about that guy. He can kill you if you let him shoot you too much. Alternatively, you can do a high jump over these lasers, so it's really up to you. It's slightly faster to just run through them, but it's slightly safer to jump over them, so you kind of have to decide for yourself. I'm going to jump over them here. And that means this guard at the top of these stairs isn't going to be hostile yet. This guy would be at the top of the stairs or at the middle of the stairs already shooting us. But because I jumped over the lasers, he's not. And now, this route, actually, I'm going to make a separate video, and I'm going to explain an alternate route in that video, because I'm only going to do the fastest method here, which involves a pretty difficult trick that I wouldn't necessarily recommend doing in your first runs. I'd recommend practicing it for sure, and as soon as you have it down, then definitely go for it, but maybe not in your first runs, because it is quite hard to do to begin with. So I will link the alternate strat video for that, and it's only about 30 seconds slower. But just bear that in mind, this is only for the fastest route. So come over to this ladder, and this is where we want to use our painkillers, but you can't use items while running, as I'm sure you know by this point. So I'm gonna, as soon as I grab this ladder at the highest point I can, I'm gonna use my painkillers on 9, and you should see that I end up with 125 health by the time I get off the ladder. And you can see I have 125 health. So now just jump over here, and we want this fire extinguisher to do this trick. So take it on with the elevator with us, and if you're fast enough, you want to grab the fire extinguisher before the elevator doors closed. The reason for that is that you can see here, if I drop the fire extinguisher, I can't now pick it up. While the elevator door is closed and we're moving, you can't pick up objects. So ideally you'll pick it up after you press the button and before the elevator starts moving. But now we're going to get onto the very difficult trick. Drop the fire extinguisher outside. You might as well make a safety quick save here, because if you mess this up then you're going to lose a lot of time. But you want to press the elevator button and run out before the door closes. If you're too slow you'll get trapped. You'll get stuck in the elevator and it'll take you all the way back down. But what we want here is the elevator door to be closed and the elevator to still be there. So now pick up the fire extinguisher and take it up to here. Exactly where you place your fire extinguisher along this ledge isn't that important. You can do the trick with the fire extinguisher at the end, you can do the trick with the fire extinguisher right here. It's not really that important. What we're trying to do is take the fire extinguisher through this wall. If we do this really slowly, you can see if I just try and drag the fire extinguisher through the wall, it's actually just pushing me out. It's not, the fire extinguisher isn't going in at all, it's just pushing me around to the left. All I'm doing here is moving my camera, I'm not actually moving Jensen. So you can see that doesn't work, but what we can do is do a very fast sweeping motion like this, and then the fire extinguisher is actually out of bounds. You can now see if I drag it here, it's halfway through the wall. So you have to do that turn very quickly and take it out through the wall. And now we take it to the corner, and we're going to drop it there. And this is where you want to grab Typhoon, and we're going to do the first Typhoon clip of the run. The reason this works is because Typhoon actually displaces your character slightly backwards and slightly upwards. So what you're going to do is you're going to line yourself up roughly 45 degrees. The aligning on this one is really not very important, it's not very precise, but roughly 45 degrees, and then just do a Typhoon here. So I'm now out of bounds, and you can see that there's actually an invisible wall here. I can't go onto the elevator. Just jump over that, and we're on this side. And now we want the fire extinguisher up with us. That's why we took the fire extinguisher out of bounds. So you want to edge yourself into here. There's another invisible wall on this side. You can see I'm not moving forward here, just to the side. And it actually has a slight curve to it. If you can see that I'm just tapping left here, and eventually I will start actually moving out towards the left as well. See, it has a slight curve to this wall. So once you're roughly at the curve, you want to grab this and do another sweep to the left. If you try and just pull the fire extinguisher out to the right, the fire extinguisher is going to drop out of your hands and it will drop back in bounds and you can't get it. So you're going to grab the fire extinguisher and do another sweep to the left like that. And now what you're going to notice is the fire extinguisher keeps appearing and disappearing. That's to do with the current loading zone, or the current steam group, it being actually loaded to the front end of this elevator, but not over here. So technically, as far as the game is concerned, we're actually inbounds when we're at the front of the elevator. So we want to place the fire extinguisher at the front end so we can actually see what we're doing. I'm also going to show the easiest setup for this trick. You don't have to do it exactly like this. Like, the specific orientation of the fire extinguisher isn't super important. This is just by far the easiest method of doing it. Just place the fire extinguisher so that the end with the hose is at 90 degrees to the front of the elevator. So like this, either this way round or alternatively this way round. It really doesn't matter. This is just the easiest method of doing it. And then stand up and edge your way to the front of the fire extinguisher. And now I'm going to throw the mine aiming at the bottom of the fire extinguisher like this. And what should happen is the mine gets stuck on front of it. And now comes the actual hard part of the trick. What I'm going to do is I'm going to be crouched here. I'm going to walk into the fire extinguisher and knock it over, stand on top of it, and as soon as the mine explodes, or a fraction of a second afterwards, I'm going to jump. And that's going to launch me really, really high into the sky, just like the barrel boost that we did in Detroit, except this time considerably higher. And it's also notably harder than the barrel boost. So there are also two outcomes to this trick. I'm going to show them both, and the first one, all I'm going to do is I'm going to walk into this, I'm going to uncrouch, and I'm going to jump as it explodes, and I'm just going to go straight up, and I'll show you what happens then. I might not get this first try. It's a pretty difficult trick to do, so it might actually take me a few attempts as well, but I'm just trying to show off what actually happens. Okay, so I got it first try. I just walked into the fire extinguisher, stood up, and I jumped, and now I'm all the way up here. This is where we want to be. But because I jumped straight up, I'm now on this side of the wall when we want to use that elevator. What happens if we do that is we now need to come over to this door and put in the code 6906, and then we can run up to the elevator and we can move on. However, if you've practiced this trick a lot, or just enough I guess, what you can do is as soon as you do the jump, you can strafe to the right, or alternatively if you're on the other side you strafe to the left. Either way, you're just strafing in this direction. And what can happen there is that you end up on the other side of the wall, and it avoids you having to put the code in. One last thing before I move on from this trick that I want to explain is an out-of-bounds save, just to avoid you from worrying about what happens if you load an out-of-bounds save. My save that I made, my quick save, is actually slightly out of bounds. It's slightly outside of the front of the elevator, or slightly too far into the elevator. So now when I load it, this happens to my camera. But before you worry about that, if I just now tap to the right, I'm back in bounds and my camera loads normally again. That will happen with any of your out of bounds saves, so just remember which way you're facing and then edge your way back to the front of the elevator and everything will load in again. That's all I wanted to explain. Now I'll hopefully show you what happens if you strafe to the right while you do it. And we end up here. We're on the other side of the other side of the wall. And now we're going to take the elevator up. The reason we took our painkillers, by the way, you saw on the first jump I actually took no damage, whereas on the second jump I took 106 damage. If we just try and do this trick with 100 health normally, mines do 106 damage, and the chances are you're going to take that damage and you're going to die if you don't take the painkillers. So they just save us from the explosion of the mine. There is a very small chance or a reasonably small chance that you'll take no damage from the jump, but don't rely on that. Definitely make sure that you either take the painkillers or take a hypo-stim here. You want to make sure you have more than 100 health just to be safe. It's definitely not worth relying on the 0 damage jumps, as they're kind of rare. And now we're riding the elevator all the way up to the penthouse. The only two things you need to do here are draw your revolver and equip the concussion grenade, as that's the next one we're going to use. When we're running up to the penthouse, you want to follow the sprint jump route I'm taking. This is the fastest way up there and it's very, very easy and consistent. Just sprint from the middle of the elevator around here. As soon as you run out of stamina, do a max jump. I'm just going to show that quickly again actually because I jumped too early. So if we're sprinting from the middle of the elevator, just go all the way around. As soon as we run out, max jump, and we land on the desk, and we keep just doing the sprint jumps all the way up here, and that's the fastest method. We'll do that one more time, because trust me, this is actually a lot faster than having to hesitate on any of the jumps or anything like that. So pretend I did the first jump, and land on the desk, land up here, land on this statue case, and jump over the railing. And now we end up here. I'm now going to interact with this door, and when I come out of it, I'm going to gain control around here, and what I want to do is I want to shoot immediately and then holster my weapon. This cutscene that we're going to hit is going to trigger some, it's going to spawn some guards in this room that slowly filter in, but if we shoot, they're going to go hostile and they're going to run into this room immediately, and that's kind of what we want to happen, because we're then going to throw the concussion grenade and it's going to hit all of them. So I'll show you what this looks like. Gain control. Just shoot as soon as you can, holster your gun and jump down here. As you're jumping over that barrier, throw the concussion grenade, and we're going to hit all of them with that. And now we can just run straight through to this elevator and ride it down. And now we want to equip our EMP grenades, we're going to be using both of these here. These throws are nowhere near as precise as they might look like they are. It's very, very easy to actually hit these once you practice a little bit. Just throw an EMP grenade at this robot, and then there's one on exactly the same on the other side. Just aim roughly here. You can aim higher, you can aim lower, but I aim roughly here, and throw the grenade. And I'm going to hit that robot with that, so you can see that it's been destroyed. And now run up here, and this button is active. If you don't destroy those robots, you cannot use this button, and you cannot finish the mission. So use this button, then grab an EMP grenade that's in that drawer, jump down, grab this energy, then come over here, and there's energy in this box here. I'm going to show it to you, but normally I wouldn't go around there because you can actually pick it up through the box. So just grab that and then run up here. If you do this quickly without having to explain things, you'll reach Malik before you can actually interact with the helicopter, and that's fine. Just wait here until you can, and then you interact with her, and I'm going to be grabbing a grenade that is in this locker and a Typhoon ammo that's in this locker. So interact, and now we're running over here. Just say ready, which is right, and grab these two items. And that's the end of Tai Yong Medical.